Ah, Galaga. Arguably the greatest space shooter ever invented. Everyone's heard of it. It was the sequel to Galaxian and released in 1981. Now there's already a gazillion reviews on this game, so why am I reviewing it? Well, because I want to, but also because I want to show you the cabinet and the hardware behind the game. This is the original Galaga stand-up arcade. You can see there's beautiful artwork on the side there. And this is my control panel, and it's just a little beat up, but it still gets the job done. You got a joystick and a fire button, and it can be played by one or two players. On the bottom of the cabinet there's a giant picture of one of the space bugs. And here's the coin door for accessing the coin bucket. And the coins basically drop in here and hit this lever. And that's how you get your credits. As you can see, I'm not exactly using this machine for commercial purposes. I use this space for my toolbox, and I also have a bit set in there, as well as some spare Galaga parts. I'm guessing most of you have never seen the inside of a Galaga machine, so let me give you a quick tour. So there on the bottom, this is my dusty-ass power supply, and the control board for it is on the side there. Tucked away in the back is the main PCB, which everything is connected to, and I'll take a closer look at that in a second. Up on the side is the rapid fire board that allows you to hold the fire button down for continuous fire. Mine is currently set to disabled. And if we look up, we have the monitor chassis and the monitor control board. I actually had to replace the flyback on this last year, but it's been working pretty good since then. Alright, so this is the Galaga game board, and it actually uses 3 Z80 processor chips to run this thing, running at just over 3 megahertz. You can see the main CPU right there. And let me show you a couple of different sections here. So in the upper right we have the sound section. You can adjust the volume with this dial right here, but just be cautious, it's ultra sensitive. I mean, even the slightest movement and your sound's going to be blasting through the speaker. These are the 2 dip switch settings. They are used to control various settings for the game, like the difficulty, the number of ships, and the number of credits to play the game. So there are also a few third-party add-ons that you could install. One of them replaces this chip right here, which controls the speed of your bullets. That particular add-on is the Rapid Fire chip. It's actually a very common upgrade. A lot of people that play Galaga are actually using this chip and don't even realize it, and they think Galaga is really easy. Well, try playing it with the original hardware. You might have a second opinion. This is the Galaga Enhancement Pack. It actually replaces the CPU, and then you stick that CPU on the daughter card itself, and it saves your high score and does other cool stuff. And then you want to replace that original Fire chip with this G5 chip that came with the Enhancement Pack. So that's a look at the Galaga game board. Now if I lift this thing up, you'll see there's actually a second board on the other side, and I don't really have to access it very often, but it's kind of funny. The other day when I was starting up Galaga, it told me that I had bad RAM in one of the locations on this board, and when I removed that chip at that location, there was actually a dead bug underneath. Yuck. So when you first boot up Galaga, you get this interesting startup screen, and I don't know if you noticed, but I have some pretty bad burn-in on this monitor. I think it was originally used by a Centipede machine before I even got it. But it gets the job done. So let me enter into service mode and show you what that looks like. So here you can look at your settings, and you can also test out each of the sounds in Galaga. So let me play one of my favorites, the introduction to the game itself. And then here's another one of my favorites. It's just so retro, you gotta love it. There's also an Easter egg that you can do while you're in service mode. If you hold the fire button and go right 5 times, left 6 times, right 3 times, and left 7 times, you get the copyright for the game. So why do I love Galaga so much? Well, for me it represents retro gaming at its finest. It uses the classic arcade formula of being easy to learn but difficult to master. Back then, games didn't hold your hand and give you clues and save states, No, they depended on quick reflexes and coordination, and if you didn't have those skills, you weren't a gamer. Heck, Galaga doesn't even have a pause button. The goal of Galaga isn't to beat the game either, because there is no way to beat it, because there is no end to the game. That is, unless you get past level 255 on any mode besides the hardest, but that's a long story, and look up Kill Screen if you want more information. The high score table can only store 6 characters, so when you crack 1,000,000, it reverts back to 0. The only way to get around that is if you play as player 2, or if you use an enhancement pack. I'm not sure if I'd call Galaga my favorite game of all time, but it's definitely my favorite classic arcade game. Now, unless you've been living under a rock for the past 30 years, I'm sure you've played this game, but if you haven't, do yourself a favor and go give it a shot. Definitely worth your while. Thanks for watching.